let's welcome to the show a very special guest who we teased last night. Not teased, we didn't tease him. We teased someone was coming up. It's Tau Henare. Tau, kia ora, and welcome to the show.
Peace, brother. Peace.
Peace be with you, my son. Hey, it's lovely to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. It's one of these instances where we were talking on Twitter, and you shared that you were kind of enjoying what we were doing. And I thought that was really interesting because where you have come from politically, now you're a minister when you were in New Zealand First. Were you a minister when you were in National as well, or just an MP at that stage?
Just second time round, I was just I was a bum.
But you've been
interesting story. Interesting story about that. When Key was the Prime Minister,
yep.
I was he was picking his cabinet. He was the selector. He was the captain. I was lying in bed. He rang and he said, "Sorry, big boy, you didn't make the run-on team."
Right.
And so, yeah, that was it.
But you have been a minister. You have been a minister under the Crown under a New Zealand First title that would have been under Jim Bolger in the late 90s. Yeah. And from where me and Chewy overtly sit politically, we don't find too many people who are in that aspect of the political world go, "Hey, we really like what you guys do." So it was a really interesting perspective. And I was going to, I don't want to make this sound like, "Hey, tell us how great we are." It's not that, but it's like, I'm wondering if you can tell us what you see in this current government, National, New Zealand First in particular, but Acton there as well. And is it an instance that we are consistently being told that this is not your father's national party or your grandfather's national party, or have you just matured and come to the light side over the last 15 years, Tau?
Oh, bro, I mean, I think everybody grows up and doesn't really have an epiphany, but you sort yourself out.
Right.
Like when I went in, I was how old was I? I was 33. I came from internal affairs as a community development worker. I mean, I was on 20K a year before tax. I had four kids, one on the way, and then I struck it rich. I became an MP and I got $66,000 a year, and I thought I'd fucking won lotto. And obviously, what was the first thing I did? I went and spent it. But bro, even the National Party and New Zealand First was different back then.
Yeah.
You know, it was centre of the road. It was driving down the motorway squarely and fairly in the middle. You know, so you could go left or you could go right. But not too far right and not too far left.
Okay.
And that was the whole makeup of New Zealand First. And then obviously we had the big fallout, and I stayed behind, and he didn't. And now we've got him back for about the 500th time. The guy just doesn't give up. He just doesn't give up.
He's a vampire, I think. He's never going to move on. What do you see as a former National Party MP, New Zealand First Minister, when you look at the current incumbent government?
Oh, bro, there were people in my circle. So that's you know, for I was a Nat MP, list MP for 9 years.
Yeah, there
were people there then that would have loved to do what they are doing now.
Okay,
but they couldn't. You know, and it was because it wasn't the time. Obviously now it's the time. I mean, shit, half the world's going stupid right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not just us. And a lot of people pour scorn on David Seymour. But bro, he's played the game so well. That's why he's there.
Yeah.
You know, he took his time. I mean, I hate them. I hate his politics. I don't hate him, but I hate his politics. But mate, you've got to pat him on the back and say, Jesus, you've done so well. And my opinion is that it's going to go it's all going to go tits up once Winston finishes being the deputy prime minister.
So I don't think Winston, when he's been a part of a coalition, has ever seen a term out. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And so you're saying this is the same old, same old? Oh
yeah, bro. It's and you're right. He's never seen a full term out in a coalition because there's always something that he uses as the excuse. Like the excuse when we were there was the Wellington Airport shares. Well, fuck, we won that, but he got so pissed off, hated Shipley's guts. And that was it. We were in cabinet, and he got up and walked out, and I thought to myself, "Oh, the old man's gone for a smoke." And 2 hours went by, and I just didn't bother to go and look for him. And then we found him in his office, and he was fuming that none of us walked out with him. It would have been really nice if you had told us you were going to pull a stunt like that, and we would have come with you. But that was it, bro. That was the end of it. And so I always knew initially when we signed up with the Nats that our political career was fucked and we weren't going to get another term. So you might as well hang around and do what you can. And I still hold to that. I don't really give a shit what people say. They weren't there.
Where would you sit if you were going to be an MP today? Which party would you sit in?
Oh, mate, none.
Independent.
And I'm trying to be honest. I voted, and I am a member of the Māori Party.
Yep.
But if I was to be lucky enough to have another round, I'd be as an independent.
Okay.
And I would sell my soul to the highest bidder, and for billions and billions of dollars.
Chewy man, jump in. What are your thoughts?
First of all, when I was on Twitter, I followed you, and I found you quite a breath of fresh air. I didn't always agree with the things didn't always agree with what you said, but there was a lot that I did agree with, which just plays to exactly what you were saying, is that you're probably more in the centre than anything at that stage, at least. You mentioned that in your time there, that there were definitely people that were sort of biding their time, that would love to do the things that this national government is doing now. Do you think that the reverse is also true, that there's people in the National Party that are kind of like, holy shit, this is too far?
Nah, I don't think so, bro. I think that it's like this, and I think it's like this for every party, that you get swept up in a wave, and you just you get your little board and you hang on for dear life. Because you know that if you start rocking the boat, somebody will peel you back and saying, well, we're not going to talk to you anymore. And you'll just wander around the place thinking, well, this is fucking boring. But, and only a certain number of people can be cabinet ministers. And so what do the others do? I mean, to be honest, in my 9 years as a Nat MP, and I always thought I became a Nat MP because they somehow thought they owed it to me, because I kept Shipley in the big house for a term. And Keith basically said that at the end of my time. He basically said, look, I've got all this political capital, and you've had your 3 terms, and I'm not going to spend any more capital on you. And I said, I couldn't. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't argue with it really because it's true. Yeah.
It seems that you are saying to us, and you're not using these words, but they're all in it for themselves. What a lot of the public are saying often, and there's people in the chat at the moment going, thanking you for your honesty. But are you basically saying that most of these MPs are just in it for themselves to get what they can? You know, if it means they have to change their position this week from last week, they will, as long as they serve themselves and perhaps whatever community they are individually associated with?
Well, bro, you have a look around you. Have a look at the MPs. You know, what have Labor been doing since the election? Fucking nothing. And I realised that Keir Starmer hasn't done anything either, but he hasn't had to.
He doesn't,
because you've got the fucking idiots who are running the show, so he doesn't have to. But Chippy, in my opinion, and Willie and all of those other fellas, they should be out there not listening. They should do that too, but they should be saying, "Shit, this is what we're going to do. We're seriously considering a capital gains tax or a wealth tax." Well, it doesn't matter what it is, but they need to give the public, because, you know, here's the problem, that if they don't, votes will go all over the place. Some will stay national, some will stay New Zealand First, ACT, Greens, whoever and wherever. And you cannot win in the last year of a term. I just don't think you can, unless you've got Jacinda Ardern.
Yeah. We actually said that to Barbara Edmonds a couple of weeks ago, actually. We said that Labor's job should be in election mode now for the next time around. And we had Chippy as well, and actually said to him, CGT, the capital gains tax, was that a mistake? And he went, yeah, probably. Well, everything's back on the table. So I think on some level they're doing what you're suggesting, but maybe not as overtly as maybe one would want them to. I mean, you're right, because we want to see them in front of cameras. We want to see them speaking to the public, not just having these conversations in the back room.
They will. They will get in front of the cameras and of the public. But Jesus, how many times have we heard everything's back on the table? Well, what is back on the table?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same old shit that you tried to pawn off in the election, and you lost. I mean, I like Chippy personally. I always got on well with him, and I actually think he's clever. But has he ever had a job outside of Parliament? No, he's not. No, he hasn't. You know, and I'm afraid. I wish we had somebody like Norman Kirk, who was a railwayman, or actually somebody like Sonia Davies. You know, real people that can argue a good point, that can, you know who I liked was Bolger, because he actually turned into a nice person.
Right.
I hated him when I was younger, when he was Minister of, I think it was Minister of Labour. You know, the Employment Contracts Act and all that sort of shit. I was at the union then. And I hated him. And then, I was working with him, and I actually found out that he was all right. Still a Tory, but hey.
I think the person
Bolger's one of those interesting ones where after he comes out, he kind of has this revelation moment of like, oh yeah, a lot of what I did was crap. And we see that a lot from Nats. Chester Burrows on the show before he passed, talking about the gang patch stuff and just saying, hey, look, it's a great bumper sticker policy. It gets votes, but it's bad policy.
It's not going to work. It's not going to. Bro, I tell you what would be a real cool side hustle. Is like if you were able to have like Velcro gang patches
Yeah.
You know, you can put them on and then take them off.
And then
I go one further than that, so that there's another gang patch underneath. So every time the police grab one, there's just another one. They're like, oh no.
Right. Here's something from my past.
All right.
No, yeah, well, yeah, it is. When you're a minister, you can get a rental. Mm-hmm. And so I picked up this XR6 Falcon, and it was a red one. And so I drove up north, and all the brothers were saying, "Oh shit, what are you driving that for? It's supposed to be blue." And I said, "Yeah, but that's the only one that the rental car had." And then Bill English saw me, and he said, "What are you driving a red one for?" I said, "Because they didn't have any blue ones, and up here it's sort of red and blue." But he was talking about National and Labour. My brothers and sisters were talking about the Black Power and the mongrel mob, and that's the New Zealand we live in.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that I mean, like you talk about people who are kind of the people, Norman Kirk, that kind of person. What about Kieran McAnulty? He seems to be one of those guys.
Yeah, he's clever, and I quite like listening to him. And I don't really know him because he came in, I think, after I'd buggered off. But somebody like that, eh? You know?
Yeah.
Somebody that's got charisma, that can tell it like it is, that gets angry. You know? Mm-hmm. Christ, I think sometimes politicians are too kind.
Yeah.
Mind you, then if you're not kind enough, then they think you're an angry person and you've got mental health issues and shit like that.
Having worked with Winston, and I guess under Winston, and with Bolger and with Shipley, I'd like to get your take on what you think of Luxon as a leader, as the Prime Minister, and how that dynamic, as you see it, is working between Luxon and Winston and Seymour.
I met Luxon face to face and had a little bit of a yarn with him at Waitangi. Bro, it's like this.
Hang on, that's a great build-in to whatever you're going to say. The giggle is perfect. So we are all now listening to.
Oh God! But you know, with the Winston and Bolger and Shipley, they had done their apprenticeship, okay, in the party, around politics. They knew the standing orders. They knew what to say, what not to say. Bro, he hasn't had that. Luxon hasn't had an inch of it. And mind you, Key didn't either. But Key was a far different kettle of fish to Luxon. I don't know what it is about Luxon. I suppose he's a nice person, blah, 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 but he's a shit politician. You know, honestly, I reckon there are a lot of people within the National Party who are better than him, and most probably they will never get there, because to get there you have to either roll him, wait till he dies, or wait till you lose. And you know, and usually a new government gets 2 terms. I'll put money on it that this government will get 1.
Oh, interesting. Who's not going to make it? Like, who's not going to make it? Because that implies that New Zealand First or ACT is either going to fail or not make it. So what's going to happen? What's your thoughts?
I think ACT won't go away.
Yep. I
think they will succeed because there's space for their type of hyperbole. You know, there's space there. There's nuts out there that will vote for whatever. And then there's Winston. Now, mate, I think personally, I mean, I've said this before and had my ass kicked, but I think this is his last go around. This is his last rodeo. And without Winston, New Zealand First is gone.
Yeah, but so does he step down at the end of this because it's his time and he's going to choose to, or is he just not going to get voted back in and that'll be the last we see of him? What are your thoughts?
Well, if he doesn't step down and from the coalition, I don't think he's coming back as an elected MP.
You did forget one way to be the leader, because you were talking about the leader of the National Party as well, and you listed off what had to happen. You could have just said if you're the CEO of Air New Zealand, because apparently there's a pipeline from that office straight to this office, isn't there, Chewy?
Yeah, well, I'm picking Kieran Foran's brother will become the Prime Minister.
There you go. Chewy, anything else to wrap up?
I remember when they were talking about, they would talk about Luxon coming over into politics years before he did it.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a given. He was just going to jump out of an Air New Zealand Boeing and parachute into a nice safe seat, and there you go. And then when he arrived, like my overwhelming vibe was really this guy, because I mean, as you said, he is, and we've been saying it since day dot. He is not very good at this.
Nope.
No,
like it's not the world that he's come up in. He doesn't have the natural instincts for it. I guess the most glaring example of that was when he was pinged on his apartment and just seeing.
Yeah. And what else? What about the Tesla? Pinged on his Tesla, pinged on his apartment, goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, bro.
Whereas I think the contrast with Key was he was very much someone that was driven by public sentiment. And Key had a playbook, of the stuff that needed to be done. And you know what he did? He gave all the Māori stuff to the Māori Party. Said, "Here, you do it, because I can't and I won't." So they took up the cudgels on behalf of our people, and they did a reasonably good job. And they got on with each other, and he got on with stuff that he knew about. But bro, this new guy, how hard is it to run a company that is being bailed out by the government? And shit, how the fuck do you get 7 houses? I can't. I've only got one. Actually, I've got one plus a bit of land up north. But bro, I think when you come into a role like as a CEO, right, and you want that instant boost for the shareholders that you're the right person for it. The quickest way to do that is to cut costs, right? Yeah. And he did that. He tanked the morale of the company at that point, and he left it $3 billion in debt. And here he comes in, the savior of the National Party and the right in New Zealand. Labour bad, spending too much money. He cuts costs, and borrows,
just like he's doing now.
It's the same. It's exactly the same pattern now. The other thing I'll say just about Winston leaving Parliament, I only assume that that's going to be with a loud bang, a cloud of tobacco smoke, and a shower of bats. It'll be pretty spectacular.
Oh, he's going to have to die. Honestly, he's 70. He's 77. For goodness' sake, look at that silly old prick over in America. Well, actually, both of them.
Yep.
Look, if that wonderful woman in Te Pāti Māori keeps on talking to him the way that she did the other day, it'd probably be sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, the Māori Party are an interesting. They're at an interesting stage. It no longer belongs to old people. It belongs to young people.
Yeah, that's what they've done.
And sometimes I think as an old person, like I'll be 64 in September. My job is to get out of the fucking way and stop clogging up the motorway and let these young fellas, put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, but also your job too is also to sit in there. I'm trying to follow the analogy of a race car now. To sit in their garage and help them put the wheels on to make them drive harder. You know, if I can stand on the shoulders of giants, you'll see further, sort of thing. So it's not just get out of the way; it's also help them fuel their cars as well.
Yeah, I still want to tell them what to do. That's my problem, you know, and so I try not to.
And just quietly, Winston born in 1945, so he's actually 79, which means next year he'll be 80.
Fuck.
So he'll be
79.
81. He'll be 81 at the next election. So
do you know the first time I met him was I was 18. That was 1978. I was unemployed, and he walked into the Otara Public Library where we used to hang out. Freaky.
Man. Hey, To, it's been an absolute breath of. What is it? Fresh of breath air? That thing's going to matter. What is that? What is that saying, Chewy? Something. It's been great.
Breath of fresh air, Pat.
There you go. So it's been great. Really, really happy that you connected with us, and I'm very keen to chat with you. And maybe we can do it again sometime soon. But this has been awesome.
Yeah, bro. I'm staying up rather late tonight to watch Sky UK TV's coverage of the election. It's going to be the worst result since 1832.
Right. Whoa. Worst result for who?
For the little fella.
Right.
Rishi. I mean, he would have been really good in good economic times. But he's pretty shit at the job. And he's gone. They're gone. Tories are gone, bro.
Yeah. Chewy's bailed. He got bored. To, I did not get bored. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We'll stay in touch. Awesome, I'm sure we'll talk again super soon. Say hey to all your whānau. Enjoy the commune you've got out there, and we'll talk sometime soon.
Awesome, bro. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Chewy.
Cheers, To. All the best.
Love your work. Love your work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.